Get this, by 2030,
Okay.
experts are predicting that 2/3 of all car sales will be electric vehicles.
Whoa.
That's a ton of batteries needed to power all those cars.
Yeah.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the battery revolution that's making this electric future possible.
It's pretty wild to think about. We're
Right.
talking about a total shift in how we power our world.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
what I'm fascinated by
Okay.
is how AI and robotics are speeding up
Mm-hmm.
the development of these next-gen batteries.
Yeah.
It's not just about making more batteries, it's about making them better, cheaper,
Yeah.
and more sustainable.
We're going to explore some really cool alternatives like sodium-ion batteries and even solid-state batteries, which some are calling the holy grail of battery technology.
Okay, so we've got a lot to cover today, and we've got some really interesting sources to dig into. An article from Tech4Future that breaks down all the latest advancements
Cool.
and some intriguing stuff I found just doing a regular old Google search.
Let's start with the basics.
Hi.
What is a battery?
Okay.
We use them every day,
Right.
but I bet most people don't really know how they work.
You're right.
Yeah.
Got something to do with storing energy,
Yes.
but the actual science behind it, I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Well, think of it this way. A battery is basically a tiny chemical factory that stores energy
Okay.
and then releases it as electricity when you need it. It has three main parts: the anode, the cathode, and the electrolyte.
Okay, break that down for me. I remember those terms from high school chemistry.
Yeah.
I need a refresher.
Imagine the battery as a bustling city. All right.
Okay.
The anode is like the airport. It sends out these tiny energy carriers called electrons,
Okay.
which are like the travelers heading out into the world.
So the electrons are like tiny tourists going out to power our device.
Then you have the cathode, which is like the city center, the destination where the electrons arrive after they've done their work, powering your phone.
So where does the electrolyte fit into this city analogy?
Think of the electrolyte as the roads and transportation system. It allows these little charged particles, called ions,
Okay.
to flow between the anode and the cathode, keeping the energy flowing smoothly.
I think I'm getting it.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant flow of energy going out and coming back in.
Yes.
All thanks to these tiny little workers, the electrons and ions.
You got it.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about why lithium-ion batteries are so popular right now. They're the rock stars of the battery world.
They're in pretty much everything. Our laptops and those electric cars we were talking about. So what makes them special?
Well, first of all,
Okay.
they're incredibly energy dense. They can pack a ton of energy into a small and lightweight package.
Okay.
That's why your phone can last all day on a single charge.
And why electric cars can actually go decent distance before needing to be plugged in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have a pretty long lifespan and can handle high temperatures,
Okay.
which is important for things like electric cars and power grids.
There are some downsides to lithium ion, right?
Yeah,
Like the sourcing of lithium itself.
you're absolutely right. Lithium mining can have environmental and social impacts, and a lot of the world's lithium comes from just a handful of countries, which can create geopolitical challenges.
I was reading that China controls a large chunk of the lithium processing, which is making some countries nervous.
The US and the EU are trying to catch up
Okay.
and establish their own lithium supply chains
Okay.
because they don't want to be dependent on another country for such a critical resource.
It's amazing how something as tiny as a battery can have such huge global implications.
The battery market is projected to reach almost $424 billion by 2030.
What?
That's more than the economies of some countries.
Wow, that's mind-boggling.
It is.
It makes sense when you think about how many batteries we're going to need for everything. Electric cars, renewable energy storage.
And that brings us to one of the most exciting frontiers in battery development.
Okay.
Using artificial intelligence to design the next generation of batteries.
Okay, now we're getting into the really cool stuff. I've heard about this, how AI is being used to discover new battery materials.
Right.
But I'd love to know more.
It's truly remarkable.
Yeah.
AI can sift through mountains of data and identify promising new materials much faster than humans.
So it's like having a superpowered research assistant that never gets tired.
One fascinating example is the work of Professor Austin Sendek at Stanford University. His team used AI to analyze over 12,000 lithium-containing materials, searching for potential candidates for something called solid electrolytes.
What are solid electrolytes?
Okay.
And why are they so important?
Remember our city analogy?
Yeah.
In most lithium-ion batteries, the electrolyte, those roads that allow the ions to flow, are made of a liquid.
Okay.
But liquids can be flammable, which is a safety concern. Solid electrolytes, as the name suggests, are solid, making the battery much safer.
So it's like upgrading those city roads from dirt paths to super safe highways.
Exactly.
Okay.
And not only are they safer, but solid electrolytes can also potentially hold even more energy than liquids, meaning your phone could last even longer on a single charge.
Professor Sendek's team was using AI to find new materials for these super safe, super powered solid state batteries.
That's right.
Okay.
And the AI algorithms identified 21 that looked promising.
Wow.
Then narrowed it down to 4 through further simulations.
That's incredible. Imagine trying to do that manually. It would take forever.
It absolutely would. And it's not just Professor Sendek. Microsoft and the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory teamed up to use AI to analyze a staggering 32 million potential solid-state electrolytes.
32 million.
It is.
That's more than the population of some countries.
Here's the picker.
Okay.
They managed to narrow that down to about 500,000 stable materials in just 80 hours. Think about how long that would have taken using traditional methods.
It boggles the mind.
Right.
But why are they so focused on finding new materials? I mean, lithium seems to be working pretty well so far.
There are a few reasons. First, lithium is a finite resource.
Okay.
And as the demand for batteries grows, the price of lithium could skyrocket.
So it's kind of like the oil situation.
Yes.
Where we're relying on a limited resource that could become increasingly expensive and difficult to obtain.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
And there are concerns about the ethical and environmental impacts of lithium mining.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Finding alternative materials that are more abundant and less problematic to mine is a big priority.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Scientists are looking beyond lithium to explore alternative battery chemistries, like sodium-ion batteries.
Oh, yeah. What's so special about sodium-ion batteries?
Sodium is super abundant and much cheaper than lithium, which could make batteries significantly more affordable. Imagine if electric cars were as cheap as gas-powered cars.
That would be a game changer.
Right.
The electric cars wouldn't just be for early adopters. They'd be accessible to everyone.
These new battery technologies have the potential to revolutionize not just the way we power our lives, but also the global economy and the way we think about sustainability.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities.
It is.
And it's not just about the chemistry inside the battery, right?
Right.
We've also got robotics and digital twins coming into play.
You're right.
Yeah.
These technologies are transforming every stage of the battery life cycle, from the discovery of new materials to the manufacturing process, and how we manage and recycle batteries.
Okay, so before we dive into the robotics and digital twin stuff, I think we need a quick recap.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground already.
Started by talking about what a battery is and how it works, using that handy city analogy.
So the anode is the airport.
Yes.
The cathode is the city center, and the electrolyte as the transportation system. Then we talked about why lithium-ion batteries are so dominant.
Their high energy density and long lifespan have made them the choice for many applications.
But then we got into the challenges with lithium sourcing and the need for more sustainable alternatives.
Absolutely.
Which brought us to the exciting world of AI-powered material discovery.
It is exciting.
Love the example of Professor Sendek's team. Finding those promising candidates for solid electrolytes.
That was good.
And we can't forget the massive screening effort by Microsoft, Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, analyzing millions of potential materials in just a few days.
Truly mind-blowing. Yeah.
And then we touched on the potential of sodium-ion batteries as a more affordable and sustainable alternative to lithium-ion.
Exactly.
So we've gone from the basic building blocks of a battery to the cutting edge of research and innovation.
We have.
And now we're about to explore how robotics and digital twins are taking battery manufacturing and management to a whole new level.
They are.
This is where things get really futuristic, folks.
It's something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
But it's happening right now in labs and factories around the world.
Okay, let's hear it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the fascinating world of battery innovation.
Last time we left off, we were about to talk about how robots and digital twins are shaking things up in the battery world.
It's not just the chemistry inside the battery that's getting a makeover.
Yeah.
We're seeing amazing advancements in how batteries are made and managed thanks to these...
Let's start with robots.
Okay.
I'm picturing those giant arms you see in car factories doing something super delicate with batteries.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
The University of Michigan and Samsung have partnered to create robotic labs for testing new battery formulas.
Wait, robots are actually doing the experiments.
They are. It is.
And they're not mixing things up.
No.
These robotic arms are incredibly precise.
Yes.
Handling all the lab equipment and procedures with an accuracy that humans just can't match.
It's amazing.
What's the advantage of having robots run the experiments besides the cool factor?
Well, it turns out robots are really good at making things super pure.
Right.
We're talking about materials with up to 80% higher purity than what you'd get with traditional methods.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
It
Robots don't have shaky hands or make accidental spills like us humans do.
Exactly. And that level of purity is crucial when you're trying to create high-performance batteries. It's like the difference between using regular ingredients and gourmet ingredients in a recipe.
Okay, that's a great analogy. So robots are the master chefs of the battery world.
I like that.
Making sure everything is perfectly measured and mixed.
Yes.
What about digital twins?
All right.
How do they fit into this?
Digital twins are like having a virtual doppelganger for each battery. It's a computer model that simulates the behavior of a real-world battery, tracking its entire life cycle from the moment it's made to the day it gets recycled.
So it's like having a detailed history and health record for every battery.
That data is incredibly valuable. By analyzing a battery's digital twin, engineers can identify potential problems before they even happen. Optimize performance and improve the recycling process.
I can see how that would be a game changer. To battery management. It's like having a crystal ball that lets you see into the future of each battery.
A company called SESAI is using digital twins to do some really cool things with their lithium metal batteries. They're gathering tons of data on how these batteries perform under different conditions, which helps them make better design and manufacturing decisions.
It's like giving each battery its own personal trainer and therapist.
I like that.
Rolled into one. They're getting optimized for peak performance and longevity.
Exactly.
So we've gone from AI helping to discover new materials. To robots crafting those materials into batteries. And now digital twins are tracking and managing the entire process.
It's incredible.
The truly integrated and high-tech approach to battery innovation.
It really is.
Now let's shift gears a bit. And talk about the broader impacts of this battery revolution. Last time, we were just starting to unpack the Steps S framework. Looking at the social, technological, economic, political, and sustainability aspects.
Because this isn't just about cool technology. It's about how this technology is going to impact our world in profound ways.
I think the sustainability angle is particularly important.
It is.
We can't just swap out gas-guzzling cars for electric vehicles if we're creating a new set of environmental problems in the process.
You're hitting on a crucial point. That's why there's so much focus on making sure this transition to a battery-powered future is truly sustainable.
So what are some of the key things being done to make sure this battery revolution doesn't backfire environmentally?
Well, for starters, there's a lot of effort going into minimizing the impact of mining. The materials needed for batteries. We talked earlier about the potential downsides of lithium mining. So finding alternative sources and making the whole process more environmentally friendly is a top priority.
We can't just shift the environmental burden from one place to another.
Exactly.
Are there ways to make them more eco-friendly?
Absolutely.
Remember
those sodium-ion batteries we talked about?
Yeah.
Sodium is a far more abundant and less problematic material to extract than lithium. So that's a huge step in the right direction.
Using more sustainable materials is key?
Yes.
But are there any other ways to make the batteries themselves more environmentally friendly?
Researchers are getting really creative here. There's a lot of excitement around something called organic batteries.
Organic batteries, like batteries made from plants. What?
Scientists are exploring the possibility of using organic compounds derived from plants or other natural sources to create batteries that are more sustainable but also biodegradable.
So instead of ending up in a landfill, these batteries could just decompose naturally.
That's the idea. It's still early days for organic batteries, but it's a promising area of research with the potential to dramatically reduce the environmental impact of battery production and disposal.
I love that we're thinking about the entire life cycle of the battery, from where the materials come from to what happens at the end of its life.
Exactly.
Speaking of end of life, we can't forget about recycling.
No, we can't.
Traditional lithium-ion batteries contain valuable materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, which can be recovered and reused in new batteries.
Right.
So it's like creating a circular economy for batteries where the materials are constantly being recycled and reused, minimizing waste and reducing the need to mine new materials.
Redwood Materials, founded by a former Tesla executive, is building these massive battery recycling facilities in the U.S., aiming to recover those valuable materials from millions of electric vehicle batteries.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is.
Sounds like battery recycling is becoming a big business.
As the demand for batteries continues to skyrocket, remember those EU regulations we talked about? They're also playing a big role in pushing companies to design batteries that are easier to recycle and take responsibility for what happens to their products at the end of their life.
Lots of positive momentum when it comes to battery sustainability. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Are there any potential downsides or unintended consequences that we should be aware of?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's important to look at both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Even with good intentions, new technologies can sometimes have unforeseen consequences.
Like what?
Give me some examples.
One concern is that even if we switch to more sustainable materials, the increased demand could still lead to new environmental or social problems in the regions where those materials are mined.
So it's not enough to find different materials.
Right.
We need to be careful about where we extract them.
Yes.
Making sure the process is ethical and sustainable.
We need to be mindful of the entire supply chain.
Yeah.
From mining to manufacturing to recycling.
And there's also the issue of electronic waste.
Even if batteries become more eco-friendly, we still need to be mindful of the sheer volume of batteries we're producing and make sure they're being properly recycled and not just ending up in landfills.
Absolutely.
It's not just about making better batteries. It's about changing our consumption habits, reducing waste, and making sure we're using technology responsibly.
It all ties together.
It's a pretty big ask.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's a conversation we need to have.
Right.
We can't just assume that new technology will magically solve all our problems. We have to be active participants in shaping a sustainable future.
Okay. That's a lot to think about.
It is.
But let's shift gears and talk about the bigger picture. How is this battery revolution impacting the global political and economic landscape? You mentioned this battery race.
Yes.
Happening between different countries.
You're right. The race is on. Countries are realizing that batteries aren't just about...
Like the new space race.
It is.
But instead of rockets, we're competing over who can build the best batteries.
That's a great way to put it.
China, as we've discussed, has a significant head start.
They do.
They've been investing in their battery industry for years.
Yes.
And are currently the world leaders in battery production.
That's right.
So China is the front runner in this battery marathon.
They are.
What are other countries doing to catch up?
They're stepping up their game. The U.S., with its Inflation Reduction Act and bipartisan infrastructure law, is pouring billions of dollars into supporting domestic battery manufacturing and research. They don't want to be reliant on other countries for such a critical technology.
So it's about economics, creating jobs and boosting the U.S. economy. But also about national security.
Yes.
Making sure the U.S. isn't dependent on other countries for this essential technology.
Nailed it.
Okay.
It's a two-pronged strategy.
And the EU is doing something similar, focusing on building up its own battery manufacturing capacity, supporting innovation, and promoting ethical sourcing practices.
It's a global effort.
So it's a global game of catch-up.
Yes.
With everyone trying to build their battery muscles as quickly as possible.
It is like that.
Are there any opportunities for collaboration
Yeah.
in this space?
While competition drives innovation, global challenges like climate change require cooperation and collaboration to find solutions that work for everyone.
So how might that collaboration play out in the battery world? What would it look like?
Well, we're already seeing some promising examples.
There are international research partnerships working to develop new battery technologies and share their knowledge and expertise.
If we're going to crack this battery code and create a truly sustainable battery ecosystem, we need everyone working together, sharing their best ideas.
Exactly.
And it's not just governments working together. We're also seeing collaborations between companies, universities, and research institutions across the globe.
It's very encouraging.
So it sounds like there's a growing recognition that we're all in this together, that the battery revolution is a global effort.
Yes.
That requires a global response. And I think this sense of shared purpose and collaboration
I agree.
is only going to grow stronger as we move forward.
I think so too.
Okay, so we've talked about the amazing potential of this battery revolution, the efforts to make it sustainable,
and the complex geopolitical landscape.
Yes.
But before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, what are some key questions or uncertainties that you think will shape the future of this industry? What should we be paying attention to? Last time we were talking about some big questions about the future of the battery revolution. It's not just about the technology, but how this whole battery boom is going to reshape the world.
It's like we're standing on the edge of this massive technological shift. And it's hard to predict exactly how things will unfold, but we can definitely identify some key trends and uncertainties worth watching closely.
Give me the big picture. What are some of the forces that are shaping the geopolitical landscape of batteries?
Well, we've been talking about this battery race, right? And one of the most interesting aspects of this competition is that it's not just about who can make the most batteries. It's also about who controls the supply chains, raw materials, and the intellectual property behind those batteries.
So it's like a game of strategy. It's not about the pieces on the board. It's about who controls the board itself.
Exactly.
And that's why countries like the U.S. and the EU are working hard to establish their own independent battery industries.
They don't want to be reliant on China or any other country for such a critical technology.
We talked about how those dependencies can create vulnerabilities, both economically and politically.
Is this all just about competition?
Are
there any opportunities for collaboration in this battery-powered future?
That's a good question.
For all the talk about competition, there's also a growing realization that global challenges like climate change require global solutions. And batteries are a crucial part of that equation.
So it's not just about, it's about making sure everyone has access to clean and affordable energy.
Exactly.
And that's why we're seeing increasing collaboration in areas like battery research and development.
Yes, there are international partnerships working to push the boundaries of battery technology, sharing knowledge and expertise to accelerate innovation.
If we're going to unlock the full potential of battery to address climate change and create a more sustainable energy future, we need everyone working together.
Absolutely.
There are also initiatives to establish global standards for battery sustainability, ensuring that batteries are produced and recycled responsibly, regardless of where they're made.
Exactly. That kind of global cooperation is essential if we want to avoid the mistakes of the past, where industries have sometimes prioritized profits over people and the planet.
Okay, so we've got this interesting mix of competition and collaboration hanging out on this global battery stage.
It is a fascinating time.
What are some of the big questions that will determine how this shakes out?
Well, one of the biggest unknowns is how this balance between competition and cooperation will evolve. Will countries become more protectionist, guarding their battery technologies and resources? Or will they see the value in working together to address shared challenges?
That's a huge question.
Right.
It's like choosing between a zero-sum game. Where one country's win is another's loss, or a more cooperative approach where everyone benefits.
And it's not just about government policies. Companies and research institutions will also have a big role to play in shaping this landscape. Will they prioritize open innovation and knowledge sharing? Or will they retreat behind walls of intellectual property protection?
It's like we're at a fork in the road.
Yeah.
The decisions we make today will have ripple effects for decades to come.
I agree.
Another uncertainty is the availability of critical raw materials.
Yes.
Even if we shift to more abundant materials like sodium, the demand for batteries is growing so rapidly that we need to make sure we have enough resources to meet that demand.
We can't just assume that switching to different materials will solve the problem. We need to be thinking about resource management, recycling, and even finding ways to reduce our overall consumption of batteries.
You're spot on. The technological landscape is constantly evolving.
Right.
Will lithium-ion batteries continue to dominate? Or will alternatives like sodium-ion or solid-state batteries take center stage?
It's hard to say.
And how will technological shifts impact the geopolitical landscape?
It's all connected.
Every piece on the chessboard is moving at once.
Right.
It's hard to keep track of it all.
That's what makes this such an exciting and dynamic field to watch.
Okay.
The battery revolution is not just about gadgets and cars. It's about reshaping our world in profound ways.
It's about energy, the environment, economics, politics.
Exactly.
So for our listeners, I think the key takeaway is to stay curious.
Yes.
Stay informed. And be prepared to adapt to a rapidly changing world.
Great advice.
And we'll provide links to some great resources in the show notes so you can continue your own exploration of the battery revolution.
Absolutely. There's more to learn.
Right.
The journey is just beginning.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into this fascinating world of battery innovation. Thanks for joining us on this electrifying journey.